Well, February 19th, 2026, folks. We're on the island of Hydra, and we're off to do a hike to the monastery and the summit of Hydra. This particular walk starts down below, roughly 15,000 steps or so to the Hydra port. So if you're planning this just after having consumed a big breakfast, you might give it some time to digest. This is a bit of a climb, but it is a beautiful day here today, and I'm looking forward to showing you some of the sights from above. Trail keeps climbing a set of switchbacks now. You're going through a bit of a pine forest here, these dwarf pines, which do provide a little bit of shade, but it's still going up. Well, I believe we're almost at the church. Folks, there's lots of stairs here. If you're one that's trained on the Stairmaster, you'll be in good shape for this walk. Well, we've arrived at the monastery, and probably an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes from Hydra Port down below there. And folks, I lost count of the number of steps. It's a fair number of them, that's for sure. But you know what? The views up here are quite rewarding. It's a long walk, but well worth the sights that you're going to see from up top here. Well, if you have any doubts whether this walk is worth the effort, you just have to take a look behind me here. The sights from up top here at the monastery, absolutely spectacular. They're breathtaking views, especially on a clear day like today. So do take the time to come up top here. I think it's worth the effort. It is a bit of a slog from the ferry terminal area at the bottom. You're not going to do it in 10 minutes. We passed somebody that thought it was just a short walk. Nope, you're underestimating if you think it's just a 10-minute climb. You're going to need about an hour or a little bit more, but it is well worth the efforts, folks. Again, here are the sights behind me here. Well, it's onward to the next site. We're off to Eros, about 25 minutes from the monastery. And if the views from the monastery weren't good for you, the sights from Eros should be spectacular. we are on Iros, the highest point on the island of Hydra. Hour and 45 minutes from Hydra town. And truthfully, I thought the views of the monastery were really good. But up here, it's really, they're just epic. I know I always use that in all my videos, but this is really a spectacular place to hike to get a perspective of where you are. You can see the scope and magnitude, just the size of the Peloponnese off in the distance. On a map, everything looks small, but it's really massive. You can see Spetses, Portohili, over towards Aegina, Athens. Yeah, it's breathtaking. It is a bit of a hike up here. It's about an hour and 45 minutes. I wouldn't call it an easy walk. I wouldn't call it overly difficult. It's a medium walk, but you need to allow yourself some time to get up here. Pack a lunch, take some water with you. There's nowhere to get water up here, folks. And if you just give yourself the opportunity to see this place, it's spectacular. We're on the return leg back to Hydra, just below the monastery here, and give you some shots of the walk down so you have an idea what it's like going down. Sometimes it's more difficult going down than it is up. February the 20th, 2026, still here on the island of Hydra. We're going to do one more hike in the wind. Yes, one more walk in the wind, and then we're going to be leaving Hydra. There's just too much activity going on here. There, whole bunch of film crews down there filming this movie with Brad Pitt, so it's a bit of a gong show here. Time to get off the rock and move on, but let's enjoy today's hike for now. Well, you never know who you meet in your travels. And we came across a fellow up here who was a sea captain, and in retirement he decided he was gonna live here in the island of Hydra. And of all places, he's got the house on the windiest point on this island. And in fact, where I took the video of the wind gusts up there, he says it can get so strong you can't even stand outside of your house. So yeah, this can be a pretty windy place, but a really interesting fellow. And we talked a little bit about his adventures as a captain, and now we're going to head back down to Hydra port. Our time here on the island of Hydra has come to an end. It's February 21st. We've had a really nice time here on this island. It's quite quaint. It's very unique with the pack mules here. And there's some great walking trails here to Eros, the monastery. There's lots of good opportunities for walking trails here. Take the time to get outside of the port where it's nice and quiet, because the sights are just gorgeous from there and there are zero tourists. Not that the port isn't enjoyable in its own right, but there's only so much coffee you can drink and people watching you can stomach, and then it's time just to enjoy the tranquil beauty of Greece. So I'd recommend you just get up into these hills up and above here for some of the walks up here. It really is quite peaceful. And you're going to really meet some nice people along the way, as we have in our journey here. But we're now off to Spetses here at 11:30, and we'll carry on with our Greek adventure from there. We're just waiting for the boat to arrive that will take us to Spetses, and there's give you a little shot here while we're here. A couple nice little luxury boats showed up here in the marina. There's lots of activity here. It is apparently a holiday here in Greece over the next 3 days. Something else we weren't aware of. But we'll be heading off to Spetses here in hopefully within half an hour or so. Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 2 of our visit to the island of Hydra and hiking there. Mount Eros was awesome, as was the monastery up top there. And if you get the opportunity to come to Hydra, hope you have the opportunity to do these walks. They do take a little bit of effort to get to the top, but the sights up there are just amazing. So the island of Hydra, beautiful place to go, and I hope you enjoyed episode 1 and 2. Now it's on to the island of Spetses.